You still get nervous every time before you speak or do something?
Podcast, nah. Speaking, yeah. But again, it goes back to what we was talking about earlier. It's like anxiousness and excitement are the exact same emotions. The only thing that separates is what you do when you feel it.
So it's just like faith and fear.
It's the exact same, you know? So getting up on stage, I never want to not feel that feeling because that means I ain't living in my purpose. So I want to feel that excitement. Like, man, I'm about to go out here. It's a crowd full of 1,000 people, 5,000, 10,000 people. Like, yeah, I'm going to still feel that. But anxiousness is like resisting. Like, oh, my God, I need to pull back. Maybe I'm not ready. Excitement is like, bet. Like, let's do this. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I feel it every time. But by the moment I touch stage, it's like, it's calm, bro. It's peace.
I think that's how it is most of the time. Even when I sit down and do like these conversations, sometimes it's not necessarily anxiousness, but it's excitement.
Yeah.
Because believe it or not, outside this chair, I don't talk that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't be feeling like I have nothing to say.
Yeah.
And a lot of conversations be purposeless. And I feel like I'll be only one to have purposeful conversations. Yeah. So when I know that I got somebody in that chair and I'm going to get a chance to tell a story, I feel good. Yeah. And like I said, it's not a anxiousness, but it's excitement. Yeah. And they feel similar.
Yeah, it's similar. You know what I mean?
It's very similar.
Push past it.
It's like a roller coaster. Some people love roller coasters. They love the feeling, the excitement that a roller coaster gives. Other people hate it because they feel those butterflies, the anxiousness. They're like, I hate that. I don't like the way my stomach feels, so I'm not going to do it. Yeah. But me, I'm like, it's up. Yeah. We here.
Yeah, for sure.
We here.
For sure.
And we here now. Let me do this intro. And I'm keeping all that in there just because I can. I'm my own producer. And can't
I'm my own producer.
Welcome to the Journey Up podcast, a storytelling podcast that dives deep into personal journeys through life's darkest hours and the resilience it takes to rise again. Each episode features a guest who shares a raw, unfiltered account of one of the lowest points in their life and the trials and tribulations they face. Listeners will hear about the challenges, breakthroughs, and the strength it took to overcome adversity. And we just already chopping it up. We really had a whole podcast before the podcast.
The pod before the pod.
The pod before the pod. The pre-pod.
Yeah, the pre-pod.
But you guys going to be very blessed by this conversation. I have a very special guest. Today is actually my first day meeting him. But I've been tapped into the social media, seeing all his speaking engagements. He's a world-traveling speaker. He's an encourager. He's a life coach. He helps people find out what their purpose is. Today, I have my brother, Kusudi.
What's good, bro?
Kusudi, how are you?
I'm good, bro. I'm well.
Good. Man, it's an honor to have you sitting here with me. Like I said, just to come across your page and to be inspired. Yeah. And then you come across my page and it was like, yo, let's make something happen. Yeah. And here we are. Yeah. That's special.
Yeah. When I saw your content, man, I'm like, there's just something about them. You know what I mean? That I could tell there was a level of depth. I could tell that there's a level of conversation that we could definitely co-create. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you lending me your platform, man, and let's get into it.
For sure. So I always start off with this question game I have called No Longer Strangers. Okay. I think that's what it's called. Something like that. We're not really strangers. This is an interesting question. What do you think I'm most likely to splurge on? We're supposed to be strangers. This is...
Okay, what is you most likely to splurge on?
What do you think I'm most likely to splurge on?
Musical instruments. This man got 2 pianos, a guitar. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm gonna say production. Like, you got another guitar in the corner. So it's like, just in this one room, there's 4 musical instruments.
Yes, so. And you know the funny thing, I ain't buy none of it.
You ain't buy none of those? Okay, that's would have been my guess.
I ain't buy none one of these things in here. Got a little cajon back there. 2 guitars, piano. Yeah. Nah, I ain't buy that.
That would have been my guess.
It's just here.
So what is it? What you like to splurge on?
Funny thing, I really don't spend money like that.
Yeah.
I have, it's probably not healthy. I have probably an unhealthy attachment to money because I'm scared of being broke. So I just don't spend it.
That's interesting. Yeah. Like, my mind goes to a lot when I hear that.
Like, even the 5s came out this morning. Yeah. I got my hair cut, and I was right by the mall. I was like, should I get these? And I know I could, just walk in there and get them and then be done with it. But I was going back and forth. By the time I decided, I was like, yeah, I should probably just, cop these. The line was so long, and I knew the store manager. I was like, you even going to have enough pairs for the people at the end? He's like, nah. I was like, I'm about it here.
Yeah.
But that all goes to like my anxious attachment to money, which really is not an attachment to money, but it's an attachment to security. I done seen too many people broke. And if I'm one of the next ones, it ain't gonna be too good.
Yeah.
So I kind of hold on to it and I only spend it when I need to.
And do you feel like that is serving you, or do you feel like there's a part of you that's no longer serving you?
There could be a balance, a better balance for sure. It's serving me in the way of I don't ever have to want for anything. I don't have to worry about where my next meal is coming from. I can afford to pay my car. I can afford to pay all the bills that I have without having to struggle. So that makes me feel good.
Right.
But there's some other things that I know that I could spend some money on to actually serve myself as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your life always balance out to the level of your fears. So a fear of being broke at a certain point is going to be a constraint that stops you from experiencing richness and wealth.
Right.
Because to get to certain levels, there are going to have to be certain things that you're going to have to be willing to let go of or to risk in order to get to a certain level. So there's a harmony in it all. I don't really believe in the concept of balance. Balance is 50-50. Harmony could be 80-20, 90-10. It's just whatever completes 100%. You know what I mean? But you have been able to create yourself a foundation from that level. Now it's like, what part of that can I let go to not hold me back? And it may not just be splurging on clothes, this, that, and the third, but it may be taking other investments within yourself, within business, taking other different risks that it's like if something goes wrong, it could kind of put you in a tighter position. But when you know you're doing it in alignment with your purpose, it's not just splurging, right? And you're allowing yourself to expand yourself, that container in your mind expands a little more, to not have a fear of being broke, because life is going to level out to that in some aspect. But it's more a desire and a more of a faith and more of an acceptance and the vision that God has for you. So if you know God has a vision of prosperity for you, of richness, of abundance, of wealth, then your fear of being broke is combating God's promise of prosperity, right? So at a certain level, there's going to have to be a releasing of one in order to get to the other one.
Because you can't have both.
You can't have both. Yeah, you can't have both. You can't keep the control, I don't want to be broke, but then have the faith that I know I'm going to be rich.
It don't work like that.
It don't work like that.
Which I've been slowly ridden of the control. And I'm learning more and more that peace comes when you get rid of the thought of needing to control.
Yeah.
And chaos comes when you think that you need to control so much.
Yeah.
And it's like, who to give the control to of being higher than self.
Yeah.
Which most people call God. It's like we can only do as much as we can do.
Yeah.
But after that, we got to let go.
Yeah.
And let it be.
Yeah.
Or what the old saying, let go and let God.
Let go and let God.
That is real life.
Yeah.
That is real life.
Yeah. It gets easier, though, when the thing you're letting go from is you're surrendering to your purpose. That's why I'm so big on helping people discover their purpose. That's God's promise to you. You know, it's like if you went to a restaurant right now and all you ordered was a hamburger, you know what I mean, a hamburger and a drink, and they came and they brought out the bill. But on this bill, it had steak, lamb chops, crab legs. What's the first thing you're going to do?
Tell them I didn't order this.
You're going to be like, yo, I didn't order all this. Why am I paying for this? I didn't order this, right? And that's the same way God is looking at us. Is we're taking all of our things, like I want the cars, I want the money, I want the chains, I want this, I want that, and we taking to God, and God like, yo, I didn't order that.
Right.
But if you fulfill on the promise that I ordered, your purpose, if you fulfill on that, then I'll pay for everything. I'll give you the resources, I'll give you the opportunities, I'll bring you the people, I'll bring you the circumstances, I'll bring you all the things that are necessary for the fulfillment of it, because that's what I ordered. So God pays for what God orders. So it's like when I know I'm living in my purpose, then I don't have to question the resources of the resources going to come for the fulfillment of that, right? So a lot of my life has been like that. My success, especially over this last 6 or 7 years, right? Raising money, doing over 7 figures, just all the different things I've been able to do in my life is because I have a 100%, it's not even a belief, it's a knowing. Belief still has doubt.
Right.
I have a knowing because I've experienced it. Until you experience something, it's just a belief. It's only a knowing once you experience it. I've experienced time and time after again God paying for what God ordered.
Yeah.
So God like, yo, Kusudi, do this. And I'm like, damn, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Or go here. Or and I'm like, dang. And then everything just lines up perfectly.
And I think the levels of trust, and then to your point, to know, you feel totally different between when you're thinking, I think so, and I know so. There's a certain comfort that comes with I know so. Yeah. Versus I think so. I think so, to your point, it still has a little bit of doubt in there. It still has a little bit of worry in there.
Yeah.
But when you go in with confidence, be like, this is what I know.
Yeah.
The results are much more finer.
100%. It's like 3 levels of certainty. It goes from thinking to believing to knowing.
Yeah.
A thought is just something that comes.
It's just there.
And it's just passively. Once you start taking action towards it, then it becomes a belief. It's like, oh, man, you start doing whatever, riding the bike or making the content, or you're like, man, I kind of believe I can really do this, right?
Yeah, and then you do it, and it's like, I know I can do this.
And I know it because it's through an experience.
And a lot of people get caught on the thought side.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I thought about it. Until you act upon the thought, then you can start to believe.
You start to believe.
And then once you start believing, like you said, you can start to know.
Yeah.
So it's like you said, the three levels
of certainty.
The 3 levels of certainty. Yeah. That's very deep.
Yeah.
Because the more you think about, sometimes the less you think that you know.
Yeah.
And then the less that you do, leading to you not getting no results.
Yeah.
But when you put the action behind the thoughts.
Yeah.
And start to believe what you're doing is in alignment to your purpose or to who you are. Mm-hmm. Oh man.
Yeah, it changes then.
Everything. Yeah. Yeah. See, we can go forever already.
We're just being here talking. They missed the pod.
They missed the pod before the pod. I'm gonna have to start a Patreon.
Yeah, I like that.
But take me to how you got your name, Kusudi.
Yeah.
It's an interesting name.
Yeah.
And just by me doing some research, I know, and I think that it's a powerful story, because a lot of us would call ourselves something, but have no meaning behind it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of power that comes behind that I am.
Yeah.
A lot of people say I am crazy, I am depressed, I am sad, instead of, positive things like I am great.
Yeah.
I am powerful. I am somebody.
Yeah.
People will get lost and they say how they feel when our feelings constantly change.
Yeah.
So to say what you know and to actually live in what you know, man, that's powerful. Yeah. So for your name, Kusudi, can you explain to the people where that came from?
Yeah.
And the power behind it?
Yeah, for sure. Firstly, whatever you label something becomes your experience of it. So if you say this person's irritating, then your only experience about this person is going to be irritation.
They're irritating, yeah.
Right? If you say I can't do it or whatever you give something as a label, that you can experience it beyond the thing that you label it. That's why you got to be very careful about labeling something, because it forms your perception of what that experience is going to be like. This is hard. This is difficult. I'm crazy. I'm not a reader. I'm a gangster. I'm a thug. Like, you're labeling yourself and you're becoming the experience of whatever you are labeling yourself. So it's like at a certain point, I had to question the labels that I put on myself just at a fundamental level. And that started cultivating the person I am now. And then as far as the name Kusudi, like, long story short, bro, I woke up on like a Wednesday, man, and it was a lot happening. It was like the year after COVID, so 2021, I'm living in LA. And I'm just like, man, I was just feeling out of touch. And I remember waking up and God was like, you need to go to Africa. I'm like, what? Like, I heard it so clear though. And I read a Marcus Garvey quote, and it said, people out knowledge of self is basically like a tree with no roots. Like, so it was like I was feeling unrooted in life, So I'm like, we're in Africa, God, like, you just need to go to Africa. So I made a Facebook post, like, does somebody know anybody in Africa? And they was like, yo, where is this big-ass continent? Like, what part of Africa? I'm like, I don't know. God just told me to go to Africa. And my homie's a film producer. Long story short, he shot a film of a guy in Africa, in Kenya, Africa, named Dr. Mully. And everybody should check him out. Dr. Mully is like a modern-day Mother Teresa, like, man. And long story short, his story was he was 6 years old in Kenya. He woke up, his whole family abandoned him. So he was homeless on the streets from 6 to 16 in the slums of Kenya. He walked to Nairobi. He just started knocking on doors to try to get some help, get somebody to help mentor him. Somebody brought him in this family, and the husband was the CEO of a business. So started teaching him about agriculture, management, things like this. And he ended up becoming a multimillionaire in the 80s in Kenya. So he had a monopoly on oil and gas. He had a trucking company. Like, he has a lot of things going on out there, right? And that's like, if you're a millionaire in Kenya in the 80s, like that's a difference, you know what I mean? And he had this revelation one day that God told him to go back and save kids, stop doing business, and just commit his life to saving kids. So he literally shut down his whole businesses, and he committed his life to saving kids in the slums. So now I think he's built like 7 or 8 schools out there. Everybody go to Mully Movie, right? If you go to mullymovie.com, I think you can actually watch the movie for free. And if you go to Mully Movie on YouTube, you can watch the trailer of it. Such a beautiful, empowering story. So my homie sent me that. He was like, yo, I shot this documentary, watch this. So I watched it. I'm like, yo, I got to meet this dude. And this is still like LA still on lockdown. He's like, when do you want to meet him? And I'm like this weekend. He was like, I could probably arrange something for like the end of this year. This is March 2021. I'm like, nah, like I want to meet him by this weekend. He's like, what are you talking about? That's like in 5 days. I'm like, man, would you call him and see if he'll let me come? And then he let me come. So I woke up on Wednesday and ended up flying out by Sunday in order to go out there to Kenya. And when I was out there, when I speak on stages, at the end of my speaking engagement, I say, what's your, and the audience says purpose. So like, what's your purpose? What's your purpose, right? But I was speaking at this, I was speaking in the villages out there, and these kids, they didn't speak English, they only spoke Swahili. So when I say, what's your, they say Kusudi. So what's your Kusudi? What's your Kusudi, right? And it was dope. Like, that was my first time ever doing a speaking game in a different language, like a translator and everything, right? I'm like, yo, this is dope. Like, this is fire. And the next day, I bought, like, meats and things for the kids that they normally don't eat. So the next day, I pulled back up to that same school to feed the kids. And, like, when I'm pulling in, the kids come running up to the car. And these are, like, 5 years old, 6 years old, 8 years old, 10-year-olds, right? Just kids, like, as pure as could be. And they just like chanting, like the car's not stopping. They're like running up, following the car. Like, it's crazy. It feel like,
I thought it was a celebrity.
Yeah, like you a celebrity. You know what I mean? Like they banging on the car. You know what I mean? They're like, Kusudi, Kusudi, Kusudi. And bro, it just felt like spirit, like God reintroducing me back to myself. You know, when they asked Michael Jackson about music, he didn't say I love music. He said I am music. Gandhi said, I am India. He didn't say I love India. He said, I am India. And this purpose that I'm on, this mission that I'm on, I am purpose. It's not something that I'm fulfilling. It's not something that I do. It's who I am. And it's deeper than that. Because when it's something that you do, then you do purpose now at this moment, then you're not doing purpose the other moment. But when it's who you are, it's the energy that you flow from. It's the direction for all of my choices. It's the guidance for all of my decisions. It's the foundation of all my visions. It's the thing that gives me the belief and gives me the knowing and what is it that I do and how is it going to come to pass, because I know what I'm doing is in alignment with God. So if God just keeps me alive, right, then I know the vision is going to come to pass. There's no other alternative because I'm living in accordance with that. And by the end of this speech, by the end of the 3 weeks I was out there about 3.5 weeks, he said, Spirit wants me to give you a name. He said, I don't know what it is yet, but I'll give it to you before you leave. And before I left, he said, Spirit gave it to me. He said, Jesus was a shepherd and so are you. He said, so I'm going to give you the name Muithi, which is the tribal language Kamba. It means shepherd in Kamba. And that's where my name, Kusudi Muithi, came from, purpose shepherd. And that's how it happened.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, appreciate it.
That is beautiful for sure.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Like I said, there's so much power in what we call ourselves.
Yeah.
So to call yourself what it is that you know to give the world,
yeah,
it's powerful.
Yeah.
And then to that point, people have to really be cautious on what they call themselves.
You have to.
Because what you're calling yourself is what you're giving the world.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you don't want to give the world stupid, don't call yourself stupid.
You're so stupid.
If you don't want to give the world crazy, don't call yourself crazy.
Yeah.
You want to call yourself the things that you know that you are to be.
Yeah.
Not the things that you feel like you are.
Exactly.
Because your feelings change constantly.
Yeah.
Sometimes we feel happy. Sometimes we feel sad. Sometimes we feel upset, angry, anxious. There's a lot of feelings, a lot of feelings. But we ought to call ourselves what we hope to be.
Yeah.
And what we know could bless the world.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that calls out the greatest version of yourself. You know what I mean? And what is it that you want to experience? Mm-hmm. So it's like, in the streets, I might have said I'm a thug, I'm TTG, just all of these different things. And the moment I'm defining myself as that, then I'm having to experience that.
Right.
Because you have anything that you label, you have an image of what that looks like. So if you say I'm a real nigga, what does a real nigga look like?
Right.
If you say I'm a gangster, well, tell me, what does a gangster look like?
What is that?
How does it talk? What does it do? What's the actions? How does it perceive certain things? And all these different things you have definitions for. You have a perspective over. And you're creating yourself to be like that.
Yeah, and also, who gave you that name?
And who gave you that?
Who made that name up, and who defined what that name even is?
And at what moment did you accept that definition for yourself?
Right. So it's like, I remember that the Kanye West interview with Zane Lowe, and he's like, I am a God.
Yeah.
And he said, all these people keep asking me why I keep saying I'm a God. I just told you who I said I was.
I just told you who I am.
A God.
I'm a God. If I were to say I'm a nigga, that's okay.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's like, because that's the name that people have given.
Yeah.
And it's like, when you walk around and start saying who you know yourself to be, people look at you differently.
They look at you differently.
They look at you differently. How did people start to look at you once you came back and you was like, hey, my name is Kusudi now?
Bro, here's the thing is that I've made so many changes throughout my whole life that I stopped caring about the opinions of others, because I know how the opinions of others change based off of the level of success that you have.
Yeah, and people don't care that much.
They don't care that much.
They may care in the moment while you talking to them, but outside of that moment, they got enough to deal with on themselves.
They got enough to deal with.
So it's like, once we decide what we want and we go after it, forget what everybody else say.
Yeah.
Because it don't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
And people are going to have something to say regardless.
Every time.
Whether it's positive or negative. So it's like, if people hate when you do this or they love when you do this, you might as well just do what you want anyway.
If you're going to be swayed by the opinions of others that dictate the actions that you take, then you're going to be everywhere, all over the place.
Everywhere. Because, I mean, that's what emotions are. They're everywhere, all over the place, all the time.
Exactly.
So it's like, if we base things based on emotions and not things based on merit and reality and what something actually is, you're going to be a confused individual.
Exactly.
And the Bible said a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out here double-minded.
Yeah.
And wonder why they're unstable.
Exactly.
Because you haven't made your callings and elections sure.
Exactly.
You haven't made your yays, and your nays.
Exactly.
And it's like, ain't no time for no maybe.
Nah.
Ain't no time to be like, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that.
Nah.
Because time don't think about maybe.
Nah, it don't.
Like, today is February 8th. Tomorrow's going to be February 9th.
No
I didn't say maybe tomorrow will be February 9th.
Right.
I didn't say maybe there will be tomorrow. Yeah. Because the sun definitely is going to come up.
Yeah.
Whether we come up with it or not.
Yeah.
So it's like, with knowing that, you might as well do what you know that you should do.
You might as well do
while
it.
You got the time.
And here's the thing is that there's a quote by Marianne Williamson. I read it when I was in jail. It changed my whole life. But the quote starts off and it says, our deepest fears is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. And at the end of it, she says, as you let your light shine, you unconsciously give others permission to do the same. As you're liberated from your own fears, your presence automatically liberates others.
Yeah.
And that's been the story of it. So when I come home from jail, right, let's not even talk about when I changed my name to Kusudi, how do people perceive me? When I came home from jail, how do people perceive me? It's like I come home from jail and it's like, oh, no, I'm about to change my life. I'm about to dive into personal development, but speak like, then it's like, oh my God, bro, what did you convert to Muslim when you was in jail? Like, what this happened? It's like,
you know what you did? You spent some time with yourself.
You corny, this, that, and like, it was all these different things. But I tell people there's 3 steps to change. There's 3 steps every single time there's 3 steps to change. It's number 1, the moment you start changing and want to do something, everybody's going to laugh at you and tell you why you can't do it. Nah, man, nobody's speakers from where we come from, bro. Okay, maybe you can speak at the church, but like, you ain't about to be speaking on stages. Like, It's so crazy, bro. A dude just messaged me literally last week. He commented on my post. He said, I was wrong about what I told you 7 years ago. Because he told me, like, bro, you ain't going to get paid from speaking. You ain't going to do this. Like, everybody tells you what you can't do. Step number 2 is when you start doing it, everybody's going to laugh at you. Mm-hmm. I look at him with his little podcast. Mm-hmm. Look at him with his little T-shirt brand. I look at him trying to spit some positivity. That's cute with you. People are going to make jokes. But if you make it past those opinions and those outside limitations that people try to put on you, then you get to step number 3. And step number 3 is people tell you how they always believe in you. Man, there was something always different about Kusudi, man. He was never like us. There was something always, man, Tyrus, there's just something different about him. So it's like, Why not just to get to step number 3? Because the same people that was laughing are the same people that are inspired. It's the same people that, dang, bro, that's dope, bro. You've been in Africa, you've been in India, you traveling around this world, and you've never even been outside of my city. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I know that people's opinions change based off of the emotion and everything that you're having. So I'm not going to dictate my actions based off of that. So even like my name changed at the beginning, a lot of people didn't understand it. Why are you changing your name? Well, first of all, Massenburg's a slave name. You could Google it, the Massenburg Plantation. You could Google Massenburg Plantation right now. It's going to come up. The actual plantation is still there. You go visit it. So if I know that if I know that words create my world, why would I want to keep speaking the words of my slave master that enslaved my ancestors? If I know that I'm going to create a global company and global businesses, why would I have Massenburg, that name, and carrying on that legacy and the energy that word holds and everything that I create? That doesn't make sense. Again, we talking about knowledge of self right now. So why would I keep that name? So I already knew I was going to change my last name every time. My first name is a name I love. It's not a name that I don't love. I love my first name. My first name was Kavan. I love that name. It's a fantastic name. It's a unique name. So it's not that I'm changing my first name because I don't love it. I'm changing my first name because I know that there's a name God gave to me. So my mom or my grandmother may have gave me my first name, but the people that God has called me to serve gave me the name Kusudi. Spirit gave me the name Muithi. So that's where my name change came from. And at the end of the day, the only people that are even thinking about that are the people that knew Kavan. Well, there's going to be radically more people in this world that know Kusudi.
Absolutely.
Than that knows Kavan.
And even to that point, we don't do things for the person that we was. We do things for the person that we can become.
Exactly, bro.
Because who we was is already gone. That person is dead.
Exactly.
It's a memory. There's no difference between the person that was and somebody who has passed away.
100%.
Because they both only exist in the mind.
Only exist.
So
not in reality.
Not in reality. Like you can't talk, you can't call it, you can't have no conversation. It's only in the mind. It's gone. It's in the past now. So it's like to even understand that and to understand we can only move forward. So I'm going to call myself this from moving forward.
Yeah.
That's where the power comes.
Yeah.
And that's not nothing new. God changed names all the time in the 100%. Bible. Jacob, one of my favorite stories, Jacob, he's having problems. I be feeling like Jacob sometimes, wrestling with God. Like, look, until you do this, it's up.
Yeah.
And this was Jacob talking to God. People are like, how can you talk like that to God? I'm like, you ain't read enough.
Right.
But Jacob talking to God, after they was wrestling, all that, it got to the point where God changed his name after they was wrestling to Israel. And not only did he change his name, but he changed the way he walked. So it's like we'll go through these things. We'll wrestle with God, and we'll come out with a different name, and we'll also come out walking different.
Differently.
Yeah.
Everything different.
Yeah, because that's what happens after you go through something.
Yeah.
And after you understand your purpose is greater than where you have been.
Exactly.
But it's more so about where you're going.
Exactly.
That's where the power comes from.
100%, bro. 100%.
Yeah. Getting to that name change from Kavan to Kusudi, taking me back to Kavan and take me to the lowest moment that you've ever experienced in your life. And let's talk about how you overcame it.
Yeah. That question that you asked, man, it actually made me reach out to you. I'm like, damn, that's such a profound question. You know what I mean? I think the lowest moment, bro, I've ever experienced was going to jail. Yeah, I would say that was probably the lowest moment. Because it was the moment of so much uncertainty about my future. And I'm never scared of uncertainty. I don't really live in uncertainty because I know what my purpose is. So I'm uncertain about how it's going to develop, but I know it's going to develop. You know what I mean? But this was a situation where it's like I'm uncertain about the outcome. See, I'm certain about the outcome in my life and my purpose. I know I'm going to be speaking around the world. I'm already speaking around this world. I know I'm going to continue to speak around this world. I know I'm going to create the biggest worldwide movement that people has ever seen over the narrative of purpose. Like, I know the things I'm going to accomplish, not a part of my, I know I'm going to be wealthy. Like, there's not a part, I know I'm going to have a beautiful family. I know I'm going to own acres of land. I know I'm going to have a wife. I know all this. None of that is there's not a fiber on my being that questions that. But when I was in jail, everything was questioned. There was no certainty. And you really see who's there for you. You know, again, you believe the people that are in your life are there for you. So my niggas in the streets, like, I believe that you was my nigga. I believe you was going to be there for you. You believe all those different things. But again, there's different from a belief to a knowing. because you never experience it. So how do you know? And I was able to, now it showed me I know who was there for me. And the people that I believe was there for me wasn't there for me. So now I'm entering a situation where my life is at stakes, right? My first week getting locked up, the person who was my best friend, I'm a godfather to his daughter, stealing everything. So now I'm losing tens of thousands of dollars. So now I'm uncertain if I'm going to have lawyer money. So it was just so much uncertainty. I didn't know how long I was about to go to jail. I was facing so much drama. And it's like, dang, like I brought my life to this. And I knew I was better than this. See, like, there's a difference, bro. I was just talking to my homie the other day, man. And he was my homie from the streets. He's still my homie to this day. But he knew his life was going to be in the streets. Like, he told me, we knew that from a very young age. He's like, bro, this is all I'm going to do. Like, I dropped out of school. I told my mama, like, that's all I'm going to do. I knew I was better than what I was doing. It was different. Like, I knew I was better than what I was doing. So I had a good heart. Like, I knew I had a good heart. I knew I had a level of consciousness. I knew that the situations I was putting myself in, I was better than that. I just disassociated from that, right? Again, labels create things. So it's like scared money don't make money. Like, that's a phrase to get yourself disassociated from whatever drama you're supposed to do. Oh, it's just business, or it comes with the game. All these different phrases are things that allow you to disassociate and callous your mind to the destruction that you're about to cause. So being in jail, it allowed me to just be present. There was no more running from anything. You know, my last time in jail, I had open cases in 4 different counties. So I was already out on bond in 3 other counties in Indianapolis. So now I'm downtown Marion County, but I'm out on bond in Hamilton County. I'm out on bond in Monroe County. I'm out on bond in Knox County. So now it's like I can't just bond out no more. And now all of this is coming to play. Now I'm fighting cases in 4 different counties and 4 different cities that it's like, I got to deal with this, bro. And, you know, and it was the most powerful thing that changed my life. I wouldn't be who I am now if I didn't go to jail. So I needed to go through that experience, you know. But it allowed me to really take time and reflect. I tell people wisdom is not found in experiences. Wisdom is found in the reflection upon experiences. It's just most people don't take time to reflect. So you keep the same thing is happening over and over. And you're like, why is these same things happening? It's because you're not reflecting to get in the lesson. So you're experiencing over and over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you didn't learn what you were supposed to learn.
You didn't learn what you were supposed to learn.
You're going to keep hitting your head.
So I don't pray. Even when I'm in, like, tough times, like, I don't pray, like, God, let me make it out of this in a month. It's like, nah, keep me in this as long as you need me to. Yeah. Just don't keep me in it a day longer than needed, and don't take me out a day earlier than when I'm supposed to. Because if you take me out too soon because I'm praying for it, I'm trying to rush it, then I'm going to miss the lessons, and I'm going to end up right back here. Mm-hmm. So in the wintertime, some people freeze to death. In the wintertime, some people snowboard in Aspen. It's just the lessons that you got and how you prepare for the season ahead. But if I don't learn these lessons, then I'm going to be freezing every single time in my life. Instead of like, okay, I know it's winters, but I can still take advantage of the season in a different way. So being in jail just allowed me to reflect, you know? And it's like, I start asking God, it's like, you know, what am I here for? Like, have you ever, like, been in a situation, bro, and you looked around and you just knew that your life was better than that environment you was putting yourself in?
For sure.
And it's like, I'm just looking at the people, and I'm like, man, I know my life is more than this.
It's not me.
This is not me.
I know that I'm capable of so much more.
Who I am didn't put me in this position. It's who the mask I've been wearing put me in this situation. It's not who I am, it's who I was being that put me in that situation. There's a difference. You may be being somebody that's not you. Yeah. But that doesn't separate the consequences. I don't care if you are that or not. You're going to suffer the same consequences as somebody that's doing it full-heartedly. You know what I mean?
Why did it take you so long to take the mask off?
I didn't know how.
I think that's the reason why most people keep the mask on.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people do know that they're capable of being more, and they have a mask on or a leash that is stopping them from being totally free only because of their willful or unwillful ignorance. Yeah. Just not knowing how to take the mask off.
I didn't know how.
And it's good that you learned.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't, you would have died.
Yeah.
And truthfully, a lot of people have masks on multiple levels to that point because they don't know how to take it off or some have masks on because they're trying to hide their true identity.
Yeah.
Some have masks on because they're trying to protect themselves from certain things. Whenever you have a mask on, if you keep it on for too long, you will suffocate.
Yeah.
And suffocation leads to death.
100%.
So to take the mask off and to breathe with freedom of who you truly are,
yeah,
that's where purpose lies.
Yeah, 100%. And the mask is something that you put on to protect you in a certain season of your life.
Yeah.
So it's who you felt you needed to be in order to be loved, in order to be accepted, in order to feel safe. Like, that's where the mask comes from.
And not just that, but it's different type of masks.
Yeah.
Right? It's the mask that look like somebody else.
Yeah.
It's the mask that, the COVID mask people had on that was protecting them.
Yeah.
You got face masks. You got a whole lot of different masks.
Yeah.
But ultimately, to your point, it's all due to protection.
It's all due to protection.
Sometimes it's unhealthy protection.
100%.
It's like, nah, you don't need this.
Yeah, and the mask is like, if I wear a coat in the winter, that may keep me safe from the harsh conditions of the cold. But if I'm wearing that same coat
They're not putting on this summer.
in the summer, the thing that once protected me is now suffocating me.
Yeah. So wisdom is learning that life has seasons.
Yeah.
And knowing when to take the coat on and when to take the coat off.
And when to take it off, when is it no longer serving you? So that identity might have served me at a certain point, because a lot of identity I still have. It's not where I'm just completely not that person. There's a lot of that characteristics. It's very ambitious. It's very so I still have that. I still have that go-getter spirit. I still have that willing to take a risk. I still have that willing to believe in myself, right? But there was aspects that wasn't serving me no longer. And those are the aspects that I had to start questioning. When did I accept myself as this? I'm a gangster. When did I accept that? Like, when did I accept that this is my identity? When did I accept I'm just somebody that carry around pistols? When do I accept that I'm somebody that sell drugs? When do I accept I'm somebody that hit licks? Like, when did I accept that this is me?
And it's strange because a lot of it comes from the mind of, oh, I need to do this.
Yeah.
And when you meet somebody who's like, nah, you don't need to do this, I'm not doing it. They're like, oh, you're tripping.
Yeah.
It's like, am I? And that's where the power of the conversation, which is just a trading of perspective, comes in. But you have to have a humble heart to actually listen and expect something different.
Yeah.
If I was walking to somebody, and I've experienced this with a lot of people, I'm like, I don't carry a gun on me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm protected.
Yeah.
And if anything happened to me, it happened to me. But I'm not fearful.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, you're crazy. Like, well, maybe I am crazy.
Yeah.
But I could also sit on my side to say you crazy, because everywhere you go, you fear for your life.
Yeah.
And that's not a life to live.
Yeah.
So there's just so much power in understanding after that mask is off that there's just farther to go.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what it was for me, bro. It took me in the process of, if you still enough for long enough, you'll hear the voice of God. Shout out my man Marvin. He the one I got that from. If you still enough for long enough, you will always hear the voice of God. And being in jail gave you nothing but time just to be still, And in that stillness, I was able to start asking myself questions. And a lot of who I am came from that. Who am I? What am I here for? What is my purpose? I've lost over a dozen of friends to the streets for getting shot and killed. And I've taken a bullet through my head and I'm still here. So why is it that I'm alive and they've been shot, but I've had a bullet go through and I'm still alive? You know what I mean? Like, so you started realizing all these different type of things. And it's like, I got to be here for a greater reason. And I think everybody has been to that point before where it's like, God, if you bring me out of this situation, I promise to never go back. You know what I mean?
Next week, you're doing it all over again.
Right. Next week, you're doing it all over again. Right. And I was doing that my whole life. But this situation, I was serious. I'm like, yo, like, if I make it through this, like, I'll never go back. Like, I'll never put myself in a position again to lose my freedom.
Were you scared?
In jail? Nah, not really. There's an uncertainty level, especially for myself, because I had open cases in 4 different counties.
So you thought you was gonna get a long time.
I think the scaredness come in. It wasn't that part. I was scared about that. Yeah, so that was scared. Maybe I'm gonna get a long time. You know what I mean? Every case I was fighting, everything like that. And there was also a scaredness of, it's like you never know what the situation is. You never know the environment that you're walking into because you can't control it. So every 4 months, it's like if you go to a new block, you may be scared at first because you don't know what's in here, you don't know the energy of it, you don't know how somebody's going to be feeling, you know somebody's going to just all these different things that come with it, right? Mm-hmm. So then, but you go to that block, you get acclimated, and it's like, okay, cool, like
it ain't that bad.
Yeah, I know the energy of it, I know the people, I know how to maneuver, just everything of it. But I was having to do it, and you stay in that block until for your term. So if you're in there, jail is just a middleman before you go to prison, right? So the average person is not in jail more than like a year, because by that time you would have got sentenced. So either you going home or you going to prison, either or. And then you go to prison for 5 years, 10 years, whatever that is, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be in this exact same place until I'm out. But I'm acclimated with the people, and people may change and go for sure, but the energy is pretty much, you know what I mean? But because I had open cases in 4 different counties, every month I was getting moved to a different county. So I had to go through that process over and over and over and over and over again. They bringing me to this county for court, and then I'm there just for 3 weeks, and then they taking me to another county for court, and I'm not going back to the same blocks I was in. So every time I'm going to a new block, and having to get reacclimated, read this, read who's in it. So that was the uncertain part more than anything for me, was the constant changing of environments and being around people. And then it's like the way, especially Marion County's so backed up. Like my first night, I'm in there, I'm talking to my bunkie. I'm like, yo, what you in here for? You're like, I'm in here for murder. I'm like, damn.
He said, get me out of here immediately.
What you mean murder? Like, they put me in a murder robbery block. And I'm not fighting on M.
Nah.
Like, I'm not fighting a body. But I'm in there with people that's fighting nothing but bodies. You know what I mean?
Man, he said, I'm not supposed to be here.
It's so backed up, they just putting you everywhere. Yeah. Okay, cool, I got a pistol case and I got this case, so they just putting me in the violence section. But I'm in a block with
murder.
They got drama. Like, they got real life drama going on. And
they ain't getting out.
Nah, they ain't getting out. You know, I'm talking about fighting pistol and some bows and everything. Like, it's a different situation. So that was the uncertainty part more than anything, bro. Was just the constant moving around, the constant of, like, not knowing what was going to happen with my case. You know what I mean?
So coming out of that, take me through that first month out of jail, and you like, man, I have to change my life. I cannot go back in there.
Yeah, man, my first month, bro. So I ended up spending almost a year in jail, and I got sentenced to 3 years on house arrest. Be some cases, got sentenced to 3 years on house arrest, and like my first month, I'm in my mom's basement, and before that, bro, like I was owning the streets, like I was one of the ones in the streets. So it's like I had motion. I'm used to having money. I had a condo. I'm used to having cars. Like, I'm used to having crazy motion.
How old were you at this time?
When I got out, I turned 22 in jail, I think. I think I turned 22 or 23 in jail, not 23. Mm-hmm. So when I got out, I think I got out when I was like, I went in when I was 22. I spent less than a year. So I got out when I was 23 because I turned 23 in jail. So up until that time, I always had motion. So it was like, if somebody knew me from college, I was the man on college. Like, not like one of the mans on, I was the man on college. You know what I mean? Like, I was the man on campus. Like, all the J's, all the parties. Like, so my whole life I've always been at the top of the chain when it relates to my category and especially my age. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So now I'm back home and I'm living in my mom's basement. I'm broke. I have nothing. You know what I mean? And I'm having to figure out what is it that I'm going to do in my life, because I always looked at streets as the means to the end. It was a street dream. I'm going to make money, then I'm going to buy businesses, do real estate, and that's going to be my thing. You know what I mean? So now I'm having to really question, like, dang, what is it that I actually want to do in my life? And that uncertainty, it just allowed me to just work on myself more than anything. So I started diving into personal development. And I made a deal. I was never going to go back to the streets. And it really served me, bro, because the year in the time in jail, and I wish that every young man in the streets was able to experience this without having to go to jail. But I don't know another way to experience it. And maybe until you just move out your city or something. But it gave me a year away from everybody. So when I went back, I would have had to have hit people back up, hit plays back up. Like, I would have had to do a lot to get everything back online because I've been gone for a year. But that separation, that's why they say elevation comes with separation. Mm-hmm. That separation gave me time to elevate to a different level of thinking, a different level of consciousness, a different level of awareness. That now when I'm back kind of in that, it's like I could be in it, but I'm not of it anymore because my mind is differently. And I just started to dive into personal development, bro. I started to figure out who is it that I am. So reading books, watching documentaries, listening to YouTube audios, like that's the only thing that was consuming my time is who am I? Because I'm like, I don't know who I am.
So essentially you're in the wilderness.
I'm back in the wilderness, bro. But I'm on house arrest, so it's great because I can't just be out in the mist. I gotta be in my mom's basement unless it's for school or for work. That's it. So it's just giving me time to be with myself again. So I'm using that time, bro, just to learn me more than anything. And that was kind of like the genesis, I would say, of cultivating this person that I am now. That was like the beginning of my personal development journey.
I would say that's very fundamental in all personal development journeys. It's spending that time alone with yourself. Because you actually have a chance to look at you and see what's actually there.
Yeah.
Versus when you listen to so many other people and they're giving their opinion on you. Again, we're talking about the power behind that I am. When somebody tells you, you add that to your I am, and it's not really you, you're going to be fighting a battle that you are not prepared to fight.
100%.
Because you're fighting a lie.
Yeah.
We shouldn't fight lies. We should only stand for truths.
Yeah.
So to take that time to look in the mirror, I always say, if you look in the mirror and you see a stranger, then it's time to go on a date. Because that's the person that you're with all the time.
I love that.
And if you don't spend time with yourself and you with a stranger forever, imagine we just say, we never said nothing to each other.
Yeah.
You just walk in my crib and we just staring at each other.
Right.
That's how a lot of people relationships are with themselves.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you look in the mirror and you see a stranger, it's time for you to go on a date. What does that mean? You do the things that you do on a date. You get to know each other. Hey, what is it that I can offer you? What is it that you could offer me?
Yeah.
Where are we trying to go with this relationship here? And you better do that with yourself.
Yeah.
Because you can't divorce yourself.
Nah.
You can't leave yourself. You can't break up with yourself. You can't block yourself.
Yeah.
So you better spend some time and not making that person in the mirror be a stranger, but making it your best friend.
Yeah.
And that's how you start that path to personal development.
Yeah.
How can you develop a person if you don't know the person?
Exactly. You gotta become an observer of self. So I'm a do my best to give you this concept real quick, right? And the concept is you are not yourself. So if I have a phone, this is my phone, right? If I have a water bottle, this is my water bottle. You have a Tesla, that's your car, my car.
Who is
So
my?
do you own that? These are things that you own. It's not who you are. It's something that you possess.
Yeah.
So anything I say, this is my phone, my chair, my microphone. These are things that I possess. It's not who you are.
Right.
You're a separate entity.
Yeah.
So if I say myself, I'm not myself. This is just an entity that I possess. But when I can remove myself when I can remove that I'm a spirit, possessing this self, then I can start studying self and start noticing, why does Kusudi react like that every time?
Yeah.
Every time he's around this person triggers him. Like, notice that. Like, imagine you was observing a child. You could observe the child. You could see that they're fearful over something they shouldn't be fearful about.
Right.
You can see that they're anxious about something. You see what makes them excited, what makes them happy. And it's the same way you got to observe yourself.
I mean, even to that point, the self versus the being, when you look in the mirror, you're seeing the being.
Yeah.
It's like the self seeing the being.
It's like, yes.
Because you're seeing the body, but that body is only a mirror of what you do.
Yeah.
So it's like, who is the you?
Yeah.
Who is the my behind the possession?
Yeah.
There's a video of Bob Proctor one time. He did an interview, and he was just talking about the power of knowing self.
Yeah.
He said a lot of people don't know self.
Yeah.
We'll have things where say my hand, my car, my body, my feet, my legs. But who is that my?
Yeah.
Who is that my?
Yeah.
And if you don't know who that my is, good luck on working on yourself.
Yeah. And that's the spirit, man.
Yeah.
You know, and your spirit knows it's yourself that doubts.
Right.
That's why it's called self-doubt. That's why it's called self-belief.
So that's that challenge. That's that fight that we fighting. On the inside of ourselves, we sound like go tanks. And you think that it's two different voices saying the same thing, but sometimes they saying different things, fighting each other.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute. One of y'all going to have to shut up.
Yeah.
And then you realize that you're higher than both of those voices and you're the actual decision maker.
Yeah.
Like the flesh versus the spirit.
Yeah.
But you're the one who decides.
Yeah.
It's like, how much time have you spent with the person who actually decides which side to follow?
And how do you bring those two entities into an alignment?
Yeah.
Because
no one wants to be at war.
Nah. And even in the Bible, it tells you the attributes of the attributes of spirit. If you look at Galatians, it tell you what are the fruits of the spirit. So notice this. What are the fruits of the spirit? Is patience, kindness, compassion, forbearance, and then
suffering.
Yeah, and then at the end is self-control. So if that's the fruit of the spirit, I'm the spirit, and fruits of that is control over self. That's telling you you're not yourself. It's just something you possess. But how can I get to know this self so much that I could bring it in alignment with the knowing of my spirit? So if I'm thinking thoughts of frustration, thoughts of doubt, thoughts of worry, those are thoughts based off of the environment and based off of man and based off of earth. That's not thoughts of the spirit, because they already told me thoughts of the spirit is patience, love, kindness, forbearance. It's already told me all these different things. Yeah. So then how can I have self-control? How can I control this self to bring it back into an alignment with the knowing of what is it that I know to be true? But you can only do that when you sit with yourself. You start observing yourself. You start noticing, man, every time he sits at this computer, he starts and he gets on Instagram. Like, notice that about him. He does this every single time.
And it's like, who is that doing that, though? Is that the flesh or the spirit? Because we be knowing what we need to be doing. Yeah. If people just sat down just for a second, I promise you, you would know what you should be doing versus what you about to do.
So listen to that. Listen to that statement, right? And we talking about the I, the spirit. I know what I'm supposed to do. I just can't get myself to do it.
Yeah. So I mean, that's that back to that war, though. It's like the war between that flesh and the spirit. Yeah. Which one are you following?
Exactly. So you're saying my spirit knows. The spirit knows what I'm supposed to be doing. I just can't get myself. I can't get this entity, this body to do it. That's a lack of self-control.
Yeah. I cannot control my flesh.
That's what you're saying. Yeah. You know? So
you better control it. I mean, you better follow the spirit. The flesh is corrupt. Yeah. And in the end, it dies. Yeah. The flesh dies, but the spirits live forever.
Lives forever, bro. Yeah. Yeah, lives forever. So it's like, that's where mastery comes in at. Mastery is in the time period it takes to get self to align with spirit. The longer it takes, the shorter you're able to close that gap, the more self-mastery that you have.
Yeah, and I think that's what wisdom is, right? It's like you knowing what you should be doing versus what you want to do, but you following what you should be doing. That's what wisdom is. Like, I know that I'm going to do this because I know that this is more beneficial for me than this. And again, how do you get wisdom? You ask God. Yeah. He makes things plain. Yeah. It's like maybe you don't know what to do. Maybe you need a chaperone for your date with self. Yeah. That's what prayer is. Yeah. That's saying, God, I don't know what I need to do. Yeah. I don't know how to follow my spirit. Yeah. I don't know how to follow your spirit. I don't know which way to go. My flesh is strong. Yeah. And the flesh will be strong. Yeah. When the spirit is weak. 100%. So you got to feed the spirit. It's like how you feed the spirit. You do things that you know that the spirit needs. Yeah. You pray. You read. You have conversations that are beneficial to you. Yeah. Versus the things that, feed the flesh. 100%. Like we said, at the end of the day, the flesh is corrupt and it's going to die.
Every single time.
So why keep feeding that? Yeah. You don't want to feed the weeds because it takes over the garden. Yeah. You want to feed the things that are actually in the garden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every time. And that process is what I did. It's like what you said is if you look in the mirror and you see a stranger, then you need to go on a date. Gotta go on a date. That time gave me time to go on a date with self. And it's like, all right, we finna sit down. I'm finna get to know you. Yeah. Like, what's up? Like, who are you? What do you like? What are the things what is actually motivating you? Are you motivated by acceptance of others? Or are you motivated by the internal knowing of what is it that you need to do? Yeah. Are you motivated by power and respect? Or are you motivated by integrity? What's motivating you? What's controlling you? And during that process, bro, it allowed me to understand myself. And it's what steamrolled me to be able to do what I do today, which is help other people do the same for them.
That's the key to finding purpose. Yeah. Is knowing self.
You got to.
Is asking yourself what is it that I need to do? What is it I should be doing? What is it that makes me feel alive? What is it that I do that makes time feel like it doesn't exist? Yeah. And that's probably a good sign of your purpose right there. Yeah. 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 Man, this is a great conversation. We can go on for forever. But we won't do that today. We'll have the people tap in for another conversation.
For sure.
I always give the guests a chance in closing to give the people a chance, to give the people some encouragement or anything that you want to give them. And now's your time. Let the people know something.
Yeah. That everything you're desiring in this world is on the opposite end of your purpose. And your purpose is not something you find, because it's not going on a walk and you look underneath a rock and it's there. Anything you have to find has a preconceived notion that it's lost. And your purpose isn't lost. Why will God lose the thing that makes you you? So it's not lost. It's within you. It's not outwardly. So it's not about finding your purpose. It's about discovering your purpose. Finding is outwardly looking. Discovering is like diving deep to go within. And you can easily discover your purpose, right? There's 3 questions to discover your purpose. If every job in this world paid the exact same amount of money and I had to do something, clock in and do something, what is it that I would do? You could do anything in this world. What inspires you about that, and what difference would you want to make by doing that? And you could discover your purpose in 10 minutes. I've did it with people on stages all around this world. Go to my IG page. Like, that's all I do is help people discover their purpose. And when you discover your purpose, if you don't know who you are, then discover your purpose, because they'll tell you who you need to be. So if I know my purpose is to inspire billions of people to discover and live in their purpose, then I got to be articulate. I got to have confidence. I got to have charisma. So my purpose tells me who I need to be if I don't know who I am. Purpose is like a manual. Like if you went to your closet right now, you found the manual, but you didn't have the product, but you said, the purpose of this thing is to clean the carpet and to pick up dirt from the carpet. Like this, like you're reading this, you'd be like, this may be a vacuum cleaner. You know what I mean? Like, so you don't know it, but you know the purpose. So discover your purpose, man. Everything that great in your life is on the other side of your purpose. Your greatest potential is locked inside of your highest purpose. And until you discover your purpose, you'll never meet the greatest version of yourself. And I'll leave people with that.
That's good. To piggyback off of that, I think a lot of y'all don't even discover your purpose. Y'all just need to accept it and act on it. Because you know.
They always know.
You know.
Yeah.
It's right there. It's right there looking at you.
Yeah.
It's that thing that is on the opposite end of what you know that you shouldn't be doing. It's that thing saying, you should actually be doing this instead of what you're about to do. It's that thing that reminds you why you're alive. And if you don't have that, contact me, contact Kusudi. We'll help you discover that purpose for sure. For sure. And the purpose of this podcast, I think, was reached today.
Yeah, it's a great conversation.
To inspire people, to encourage people, to get people to look inside themselves, to find themselves.
Yeah.
A lot of people are looking for themselves outside of themselves and wonder why they can't find themselves.
You never find yourself there.
Because it's inside of you.
Yeah.
So I thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Journey Up podcast. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.